Hello, my name is Luis Chaparro, and I'm from Creator Team Press, and my colleague.
Muraviov.
And here we're with the Director of Programming of the Ashland Film Festival.
I'm Richard Herskowitz.
And we'd like to start first. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, this is my second year as Director of Programming of the Film Festival, Ashland, and I've been a festival director for over 20 years. I have to say, though, this is the best gig that I've ever had at a film festival.
And so your wife was hired for the Jordan Schnitzer Museum of Arts in Eugene.
That's right.
And you decided to follow her after 14 years of being at the Virginia Film Festival. And we'd like to know what does it feel for you to be an Oregonian, Oregonian after living here for several years.
Okay, wow, you really researched me. Impressed. So yeah, I lived on the East Coast. I had been the director of Cornell Cinema, which was a film society. It ran about 500 films a year. I did that for about 12 years. Then I was director of the Virginia Film Festival. And then my wife was hired to be the director of the Jordan Schnitzer Museum of Art at the University of Oregon. It was my turn to follow her out. And University of Oregon hired me to start a film festival there that would be a teaching film festival. It was in the Arts and Administration program. And I enjoyed that. I did that for about 6 years, but I was invited here to the Ashland Film Festival by Ann Ashby when she was director. I came out and I just fell in love with it immediately, and I was insanely jealous of Joanne Feinberg, who was director of programming at the time. I said, oh, I wish I'd gotten that job. That would have been great. And actually, Joanne had done the job for 11 years. But when she left, I jumped at it, and I'm really glad I did. Yeah, so being an Oregonian, this is my first West Coast experience. I mean, since we moved out here, I guess we moved out in 2008. And, well, tell you the truth, I like Eugene, but I really love Ashland. I started coming down here for Oregon Shakespeare Festival shows in addition to the Ashland Film Festival. And, I don't know, the balance of the cultural vitality of the area and the natural beauty, so, this is a place I feel very, very comfortable.
Being that you started from Cornell Cinema, what was your inspiration to want to become a director?
A director of programming, huh? Well, it's interesting. So I started at Cornell Cinema as really a young teenager, just younger than you guys. I went to Cornell Cinema in the summertime when my parents had the summers off from teaching, and they would go up to Ithaca, New York. I attended Cornell Cinema, and I was exposed to the classics of international film. Classic Hollywood films by the Marx Brothers, Humphrey Bogart, international films by directors like Fellini and Godard, and I fell in love with cinema and what cinema could be. I loved that movies could activate discussion, and that they weren't just a disposable experience. I also loved the fact that I was exploring all over the world, just while being in Ithaca. I mean, that one night I was in Italy, the next night I was in Japan, the next night, I was back in the 1930s, the U.S. That this kind of motionless voyage that movies took me on were such a privilege and an opportunity to get inside other international perspectives. So I became a cinephile at Cornell Cinema as just a moviegoer. And then after graduate school, for years, the job came up to be the director of Cornell Cinema, the place that had inspired me. So Yeah, and I had been thinking, do I want to be a filmmaker or do I want to be a film teacher? And then all of a sudden this job comes up, director of Cornell Cinema, to do the programming. So that's it, that's what I want to do. So yeah, I basically decided this was the track for me, and that's the track I've been on since 1982. Mm-hmm.
But how do you compensate, like, having to watch over 500 films, like, annually?
I see many more than 500 films
That's what I
annually.
thought.
Yeah, you know, it's funny that it's often, you know, you ask people when they go to film festivals, how do you go to more than 2 movies a day? Well, real film festival goers can go to 4 or 5 a day, and I love, yeah, I guess I love that kind of immersion, and I love comparing films to each other. I often see things from a kind of a global standpoint, things that are commonalities around the world at the same time films are coming out. Anyway, just maybe I may be addicted to cinema. That may be the problem, but it's not a problem to me seeing that many movies a year.
So you said you watched over 500 films a
Mhm.
year. What's like the most memorable film you've ever watched?
Oh, wow, okay. I'd say the most memorable film was The Chelsea Girls by Andy Warhol. It screened in a theater where 2 projectors ran simultaneously. So this was an experimental film experience. And I noticed that everybody in the theater was reacting to different things going on. We weren't having the same experience. Some people were laughing at things and go, wow, what did they see that I didn't see, and laugh. And that kind of, that made a huge impression on me, having that kind of variety of experiences. I began to fall in love with experimental films, films that that pushed audiences to go further than the typical Hollywood experience.
And talking about experience, what are some decisive tactics you have developed or have when choosing films?
Well, okay. I consider my role as to be a kind of a gatekeeper, okay? I've learned not to impose on the community what Richard Herskowitz thinks is a great movie, what I personally love. This isn't just all my favorite films. I have to be able to stand behind every choice, value the film, but I'm really trying to serve an audience. I do have an overarching goal. I want to push the audience further than they're pushed by formulaic, conventional movie making. I consider commercial movie making being very stereotypical, very formulaic, conventional, unadventurous. I want cinema to push people, again, to explore new ideas, new artistic possibilities, but at the same time, I can't push the audience too hard. I've got to find out, what do they want to see? Who is in this audience? What are the various constituencies, the cultural constituencies? What would create the broadest range? So I'm constantly picking people's brains around me. One of the advantages of how this film festival is programmed is I have 25 pre-screeners and 7 associate programmers. I'm kind of the captain of this team, this army of programmers, and I am constantly learning from them about Ashland and this audience. And I go beyond that because maybe one of the things that people say that I'm doing here that's a little different than what was done earlier is I'm reaching out to collaborators, like here at ScienceWorks, where we showed virtual reality, or at the Schneider Museum, where we have installations. So I'm, again, trying to involve as many people, get all this input. So to answer your question, my tactic is to solicit feedback input from as many people as possible so that my own programming is not so narrow as it would be if I just reflected my own taste.
Every year you try to visit these three film festivals, the Sundance, the Toronto, and the Cannes.
Can, yeah.
And do you try to bring some of their tactics to the Ashland Film Festival?
Yes. These are very good questions, by the way. I learned from Toronto and Sundance, and now Cannes doing it too, about having a section on new technologies and new media.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, what we did here at ScienceWorks with virtual reality, I got that idea from the Sundance New Frontier section. You know, what they were doing was reflecting the fact that filmmakers are getting excited by virtual reality 360-degree cameras and what the possibilities were there. So, wow, we should do that here too. And so, yeah, you know, when another film festival has a really good idea, then I want to steal it.
So this is my first film festival that I've ever attended.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely won't be the last.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that in the program there were a lot of films in regard to governmental and social issues,
Mhm.
such as same-sex marriage
Mhm.
and the Guatemalan genocide.
Mm-hmm.
So, to kind of reflect on that, what do you think what is your opinion on how we're moving forward in this country, and you
Mhm.
know how film is impacting the voices of these people?
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, I think film really has a crucial role right now in particular because, I mean, for our society to advance, there needs to be democratic participation. People need to be informed about what's going on around the world. If you're not informed, then you have a narrow, xenophobic idea of the world based on your own experience. You maybe demonize other cultures that you personally have not encountered. But as I was saying before, the fact that film gives you the chance of being inside the skin and world of other cultures means that we can counter the fact that what's going on, for example, on television news, which has become almost pure entertainment, it's been left to independent filmmaking, documentary filmmaking especially, to do these kind of broad investigations, travel around, just expose people to other cultural perspectives. So film is, I mean, Roger Ebert called it an empathy machine, that it has this amazing ability to bring you into the worlds and perspectives of people outside your own culture. So anyway, given all that, I think that film is extremely important at this particular moment. And filmmakers know that, and that's what a lot of independent filmmakers are talking about among themselves right now. What can we do right now to counter this this moment in which people seem so fearful of immigrants, of outsiders. It was exciting that this year at our film festival we were able to not just participate but advance that dialogue. The talkback sessions we had really were reflecting and pushing forward the conversations that are going on in the independent film community about what can filmmakers do to broaden democratic participation and awareness.
This she met you at a film festival and considered you as an artistic and energetic guy.
Should who consider me? I'm sorry.
It was her name was Jennifer Margulies.
Margulies, yeah.
Margulies considered you artistic and energetic and decisively East Coast effect. How do you bring those qualities into the Ashland Film Festival?
Wow. I don't. It's. I think that I just get very excited. I feel lucky that I have the position I have. I started by falling in love with great cinema. I'd started getting frustrated that filmmakers I thought were doing such great work and make beautiful films were not being recognized. So I started showing them to other people, and then I found out, wow, I could actually make a career out of that. And so my enthusiasm about great cinema really would click with an audience, and so I'm very gratified when these filmmakers who aren't getting attention in the mainstream, I can help get attention to. So I think it's just my enthusiasm, my passion for what I do that can be infectious, and I'm glad about that. I'm very happy that she said that. I mean, yeah.
Shoot. I had one. Okay, what are your thoughts on being selected the top 50 place for filmmaking by Movie Magazine?
We're in the top 20, the 25 coolest film festivals in the world. In the world. Yeah. No, that was a thrill. I have to tell you that this was before I came here. When I was hired for the position, filmmakers I knew started writing me and saying, "Oh my God, that is my favorite film festival. It's so great you're there." And that reputation has built. And, I do another film festival, you may know this. I also program the Houston Cinema Arts Festival, and I like that festival a lot. But, it's a startup festival where we're really still trying to build an audience. There's something about the electrifying atmosphere here, the fact that films are so crowded, audiences are so enthusiastic, filmmakers are so infatuated with the community. It's no, I could see why this place has the reputation it has, and like I said, I feel lucky to have landed here. Right now there's a volunteer gathering going, and there are 350 volunteers. There are people who are doing the transportation coordinators, do a lot of work organizing the transport, the hospitality coordinators, our education coordinator, there's so many people who are volunteering their time to do extraordinary work for this organization. I mean, I'm kind of humbled by all this input from the community that ends up creating this festival that is better than 95% of the film festivals in the world. Is in the top 25.
Very cool.
So that you bring like the top filmmakers. What's it like to meet new filmmakers every year?
Oh, yeah, you know what, I can, that's one of the greatest things of my job. I mean, that I can love a film and then actually get to meet the artist and spend time with them. I know that the people who volunteer feel the same way. I'd say this year, bringing Dolores Huerta, boy, the impact, she's amazing, and she just interacted with so many people and just left a mark on so many people, on me, and so many others. I mean, you just know that this festival made that possible. A legendary figure like her just had a chance to have a one-on-one encounter with so many people, not just me. So anyway, yeah, there are lots of people like that who came through this film festival, and you know, the fact I got to spend quite a bit of time with James Ivory, who is a filmmaker I admire so much and is a legend. Anyway, you know, one of the things that has been so impressive to me is how many filmmakers I am meeting and who I admire, who live in the Ashland area, and who I've gotten to know. Alex Cox, for example, who is a filmmaker I've revered for decades, and found out he lives just below Ashland, and somehow he hadn't gotten honored by this film festival yet, so I jumped at the opportunity to honor him this year. Was he one of the people you got to interview?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the most energetic
Uh-huh.
so far.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, luckily with him, I get to see him all year long, and gotten to know him.
That's
Yeah.
a big collaboration of energy.
Yeah, oh yeah, and I
energy
want to
as
do
well.
more with him. He's just one of the great, in addition to being a great director, he is, as a cinephile, he puts me to shame. He knows more about film history, than, you know, most people, and yeah, I'm talking to him about the possibility of our showing classic films and having him speak throughout the year. That would be great to do.
And speaking about all these astonishing individuals, I want to let you know that you've made a mark on us
Wow.
with this very moment, and I appreciate that you allowed for us to roam and get all these people and, you know, ask them all these crazy questions and answer. So I thank you for
Well,
everything.
thank you so much. Yes. I got to say that, I mean, the Teen Press this year is one of the most exciting things that has happened at this film festival. I'm really excited about keeping this project going. And seeing you guys around the whole film festival was very energizing for me. Let me take your hand.
And we'd like to thank you for the opportunity you gave us to interview all those people and to be part of Teen Press and the Ashland Film Festival. And this not only comes from us too, but from all our class.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Appreciate it.